and admire those who are, and understand that for many people spiritual well-being is as essential to well-being as anything else. Father Alex's reminder that poverty extends far beyond financial scarcity is an important matter to be considered if the current government's levelling up agenda is ever to be truly lived out as an aspiration that is achievable and not merely end up as yet another slogan devoid of substance. Father Alex makes the point that before tarted up town centres and renovated clock faces, priority should be given to those who need it most, and frankly I couldn't agree more. Our Daily Bread is a unique and rare insight into the work of an urban parish priest. Without the Church's engagement with such matters of social injustice and voluntary support, many places would be in a much graver situation than they already are. Father Alex gives a true picture of what it is like when people on the fringes of society get left behind or forgotten about. The stories at times are deeply moving and harrowing, and one cannot fail to reflect on the impact that the pandemic and cost of living crisis are having on some of Britain's most deprived communities. And yet, Father Alex also manages to draw out something of these communities that brings hope and inspiration. Amid the unfairness and injustice, there is also humour, love and togetherness, restoring hope in and towards humankind and the solutions that involve spiritual serenity. This book is an essential read for anyone who believes poverty doesn't exist. It is an essential read for anyone who believes the societal landscape is already level, and it's an absolute must-read for anyone who believes that the Church doesn't have an essential role to play in effecting change and calling out injustice. Father Alex and I probably won't live long enough to see Burnley lift the Premier League trophy and win a place in the Champions League, but we certainly share the same aspiration that people living in poverty shouldn't need to wait a lifetime for change to happen. I applaud Father Alex for speaking out as frankly as he does. I applaud him for sticking his head above the parapet and being brave enough to hold politicians and the Church to account when they fail the people of our great country. It would be my hope that politicians, journalists and broadcasters read this book and consider what they do differently to change the roadmap that affects so many of our estates and urban settings. What actions can they take that might change the destination of travel for places where addiction, crime, abuse have become almost normalised over many years under the stewardship of politicians of all persuasion? Who will make a difference? How will they make a difference? And most importantly, when will they make a difference? These are the stark and important questions that urgently need answers. Father Alex is a hard-working Church of England priest. He says himself that he doesn't have all the answers, but he deserves our thanks for asking the question. Alistair Campbell, May 2022. Give us this day our daily bread. Matthew 6, verse 11. Prologue. Blessed. Blessed are you who are poor, as yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, as you will be filled. Blessed are you who eat now, for you will laugh. Luke 6, verses 20 to 21. In the darkest days of the pandemic, people from the estates that spread out from around St Matthew's the Apostles' Church in Burnley queued in the bitter cold for makeshift food parcels handed out in a car park by me and another clergyman, Pastor Mick Fleming. People who'd lost their jobs, who were ill and cold in wheelchairs, who were isolated and alone, and who could not afford to feed their kids or warm their homes, waited, sometimes impatiently, for a bag of cheap pasta and a few tins of baked beans. In Luke's Gospel, it says, "Blessed are the poor." Well, I can tell you, they don't feel very fucking blessed, and I didn't see anyone laughing that night as we handed out the food donated by our community. In fact, if you've ever seen news reports on the telly of the Red Cross handing out food from the back of a lorry in Syria or Rwanda, then you've got an idea.